nyaya yemukomana akawanda akaisa hit ari kuonekwa. Right now we are on our way to Midrand, where we are going to meet Mr. Enock Chihombori. Most of you know his top waters from the popular Gringo series, Gringo. Namonyamuzi kuti ndiye the creator of Gringo. Akatanga achita macartoons, kusvika yaita drama, ikazoitawo movie, Troublemaker. So we're just going to meet him and discuss a few things, since you know that he's the one who's still writing Gringo. Otherwise, they have a slam face, super slam Gringo. Even in Mbudziyadhura ndisiko, because he created my character. So big up to the man. I hope I find you well. As always, ndinge chingokuencourage chaiwo kuti rambai muchitifollowa paFacebook, mapages edu Mbudziyadhura, JR Gringo, YouTube Mbudziyadhura, and also follow, subscribe the return of Gringo. We are working on new projects. This is going to be massive. Karapasi, because Karapasi, the management team, and you not even Zara, the content which we are going to try to do. So this is Bora.
Yes.
Tibetans.
Today, very soon, we are still working to just the return of Gringo season 3, and then Gringo Nyamairipi, and then Gringo Pakombo. So very soon, guys, keep on supporting us. We celebrate the Dynamite as well. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Mozoti Gringo anotombotaurawo zvine musoro atoromo nekusvinda shamiswa. Anyway, like you said, we value your support. Rambai muchifamba nesu timu rangu. I thank God for you, all of you. God bless you. May God increase your territory. All the best in your endeavors. Cheers for now. Makadi kumativi mana enyika, ndoda kukutendai nenguva yamatipa kuzoona pachirongwa chedu. Nhasi tatsikwa nelegend. Ndinowanzoti our own version of Mr. Bones in terms of creativity munyaya dzekunyora idzi. Ndina mukoma Enock Chihombori, vazhinji venyu munowaziva sekuti Toby. Is the creator of the Gringo cartoon. Vakakura kudhara raibuda kwaedza, vakazocreata a series yacho, one of the best series to come out of Zimbabwe, Gringo series. Mukoma Toby, amene kufanira kushedzwa kunzi chi Toby here kana kuti mukoma Enock makadi
Enock rinongoita.
Tinokutendai wakuru nenguva yenyu yamatipa. Mukoma, hatina kuzenge taonana kubva patakasiwa. Tinoti tine urombo nekusiwa kwatakaita na Lazarus Bora. Hatina kuzenge takaonana. How did this affect you, his departure from this planet?
Yeah, obviously zvakanga zvine impact yakakura chaizvo, because as you know, since 1998 my production isati taishanda tese, so we created a relationship yatati nayo, and kushaika kwakazoita, it meant kuti that was the end of that relationship. Saka to me that was also the end my series ataita Gringo, so that was very unfortunate. Do mwanera ndakazvita panguva iyo.
Okay, tinotenda. So it means murikutizvo after he passed away mafunga kutoti series akusisina muchaita chirongwa ichi.
Yeah, that's exactly what was on my mind, kuti You know what? I think it has run its course. Saka chimwe nechimwe chine nguva yachinotanga nenguva yachinosvika kumagumo. So mufungwa mangu inini ndatoti ndo magumo eseries yaGringo.
Okay. Thank you. Then in terms of your relationship nemushakabvu, makashanda naye kwenguva yakareba chaizvo. Ndezvipi zvamungati makadzidza, ndikutaura ma-ups and downs, both on and off the set the late Lazarus Gringo?
Okay. When you talk of Lazarus Bora, you are talking of natural talent. Saka, one thing that you can take from Lazarus is that chipo chaive ainacho chisiri chipo chekuti unodzidziswa kana kuti unoenda kuchikoro kana kuti unopiwa ma instructions. His acting abilities were just natural. So zvaunodzidza ipapo ndezvekuti kana munhu une chipo just take advantage of your abilities. Saka pana Lazarus ndo pawaiona kuti zvimwe zvipo hasi zvokumanikidza. Pana vamwe vanhu vekuti anogona kufarira kuimba, anoda stereki zvekuimba maningi, but akatanga kuimba unongoona wega kuti chipo hapana. Koita umwe munhu wekuti anoenda kuchikoro kuti anodzidzira zvekuimba, handitika. Then koita umwe munhu wekuti haatonidha kuenda kuchikoro kuti adzidzire zvekuimba. Akangonzwa esong ichiimbwa kana kuti ichirira, akatanga kuteedzera, mega munongozviona kuti apa pane chipo apa. Ndo zvaiita Lazarus izvozvo. Chipo chake changa chisiri chekuti ko munoti mimi munhu anoda kudzidziswa chinhu. Even taiti tikaenda paset, maitiro aiita, you didn't need to give him many instructions. Akaverenga script aibva akurumidza kunhonga kuti okay, I'm supposed to do this and that, otowedzerawo nezvake. Ndopaunoona ipapo manje kuti this is just natural talent. Saka that's how he was. Because you remember kuti pataiita Gringo taiita nevanhu vakawanda. So pakuwanda kwevanhu apa you can actually see kuti with this actor we struggle. With this actor we anoda kutombopiwa time ane script. Uyu vamwe vacho handiti taitodzinga kutoona kutoti hapana kwatiri kuenda panapa. Saka with Lazarus it was very rare kuti umupe ma instructions. Ndiwo waitoshedza kuti Lazi imbotiratidzawo panapa kuti so that this other actor can see kuti panoda kuitwa sei. Ndiye aitodemonstrate kazhinji kacho. Even tiri kuclub, acting club yataipinda screen talent paitikana pachida kuitwa demonstration. I remember when we were asked kuti kunziwa winner lotto, actor semunhu audzwa unzi ticket rako relotto rawina. A lot of guys went pa stage, but waingoona kuti uyu ari kungotrya but munhu awina lotto haitoizva. Lazi akatorwa akaiswa pa stage, munhu wese akabvuma kuti uyu munhu awina lotto. So that's natural talent.
Okay.
Hatisi kutaura zvekuda kuti tingomupembedza for the sake yekuti afanaka or things like that. It is what it was. Ndo zvanga ari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also tell us kuti how did you become to know Gringo? Since makatanga nema cartoons aibuda mukwaedza, then vamazoita series yaGringo pa TV. How did you get to know him? How did you meet? Uyezve kuzomukasta makaona sei kuti is the rightful candidate for that role yemunewspaper yamakazoita pa series?
Okay. Yeah, ndatanga kuita cartoon yaGringo 1980 8 and 9 ndichiri kuchikoro, and then we pushed that cartoon for nearly 10 years. Takazoita series ya Gringo 1998, saka it was nearly 10 years, precisely 9 years. Saka when I thought kuti this character is good enough, or we can try kuti tease the character pa television, ndakatanga kunyora script before I met Lazarus Bora.
Okay.
But time yandaanda kupedza kunyora script, ndanda kuenda kuclub yainzi Screen Talent. So Lazarus Bora was a member, but aisauya regularly. Taisamuona like every time pataenda club, but ane nguva dzaaiuya ndopa ndakatanga kumuona ipapo. I think that was 96 97, around that time. Script ndakapedza kuzorinyora 97, but by then ndanda kumuziva, ndopa ndiri kutaura about aimbouya achitomboita demonstrations and things like that. But prominence ya Lazarus Bora yakabuda mu series yakaitwa na Mr. Chihombori moyo, inonzozikanwa nzi Chiwerure.
Is that one ends Chimafuro Manyoro? Okay.
And just what started chayindi, but I think yainzi Chiwerure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong. Saka, he had a small part, but that part he did so well kuti yakaita impact. I understand kuti that was his first time kuti abude pa television. He has been doing ma theater nema stage plays, but mukana wakapiwa na Chihombori moyo ka wakamuexpose kunima ma directors like vana maichidzawo vatakashanda navo.
Okay.
Ma directors ekuzi ZBC.
Okay.
So he actually got his breakthrough, Mr. Aaron Chihombori moyo. Saka pandakaenda nescript inini ku ZBC, takudiscussa kuti who can play this part. Zita rake ndo rakabuda kuti no, because vana maichidzawo vakashanda pa series ya Mr. Chihombori moyo.
Okay.
So they knew him.
Okay.
Then inini ndaimuziva futi kupi ku Screen Talent. Saka test takabvunirana kuti we need to try this guy.
Okay.
Saka takazomutsvaga, tikamupa script, tikamuudza kuti marehearsals ari kumuswa wakati. Vanoziva nguva idzodzo vanhu vaitorwa painzi pa Payless mutaundi, tikatomuudza kuti svika pa Payless musi wakati, chachitorwa nebhazi. In fact vanhu vachava vachitorwa nebhazi pa Payless, so be there ouya ku ZBC. So day rehearsals rasvika taenda ku ZBC, script anga anaro kuti ngatichitangai marehearsals. Kungotanga chete that first day, vamwe maactors tetine madoubts navo, but iye takabva tangowirirana ipapo nana maichidzawo kuti hapasina munhu wachatsvaka. Pane, like I'll give you characters just to give you an example. Character ya Philemon, character ya John Banda, character ya Toby, vanoziva Gringo pataiita kudhara, ma characters vaya, some people will be familiar with those characters.
Yes.
Watakakasta sa John Banda, ini ndaenda muona ku Screen Talent, Colin. Colin was a very good actor, but takaita problem naye. Because Colin aita kana achiactor anga ajana kuactor pa stage.
Okay.
So I mean a very high pitched voice, are very active. Saka vana maichidzawo vaimuudza kuti no, you need to tone down. tripa TV at this stage.
Okay. Yes.
So we actually had to work with Colin so that he sort of tones down. But vanhu vakaona magringo ekutanga vakaona Colin, they might recall kuti hapana toning down yakanyanyitika maningi ka.
Yes.
Colin yangangori Colin ye. But with Lazarus, we did not need to do that.
Okay.
You see, we were lucky pakuti chemistry yakaitika between Lazarus and Colin. Colin, like I said, director John Bandaka. Yakabuda zvakanaka zvekuti what Colin gave us was very memorable. Zvekuti his combination na Lazarus gave us something that was very memorable.
Okay.
But what I was trying to say was we had to do a bit of work with Colin, we had to do a bit of work with Philemon. Because this is where the difference is. I'm just giving examples.
Okay.
You find that the Philemon was sort of aishka kuenda pa spotlight. He didn't know. Munangori naturally reserved and quiet.
So was it his first time?
Yeah, it was his first time.
Okay.
Saka munaive ari very shy.
Okay.
Achichika kupinda pa spotlight zvekuti paakashedzwa unzi chuya mutiratidze muactor tone, you could see that this guy is very nervous and shaking.
Okay.
Whereas with Lazarus Bora, it was natural. Then Pakarate Toby, I think we tried about 3 guys.
Okay.
Zichingo Ramba Saka. In any of these we play a character is because I was always demonstrating to these guys. It was no, don't have to bite so, don't have to bite so. Saka, in I didn't know kuti a director Mike was actually observing me.
You demonstrate.
So finally, Tauda went up shooting. We all agreed with my characters are too tribe and not to buy.
They can't pull.
We are not winning.
Okay.
But you know exactly what you want. Instead you tell me to check my actors, why don't you play the role? You know, I wasn't prepared for it. So then I'm going to know a film on. Then certain dad and after she called foot and then they got no. And then I didn't write this thing with the actor was here. But I did okay, look, that's 3 days. It's a plan of shooting, that of book everything. It's a plan of shooting Saka at no choice. By that time I think I was about 27 years old, I think. So I was trying to find a way out. No, look, Patia to be in the annual Ramunari, 22 years old. In Nini was in the approach at Tetica. Saka, there's no way I can play this part. Plus, Nagati Nini, Naganyora party, Nati Muno, a chaplayer party, and a Kapema Foods. Those days, Kupema Foods, Kapo, fashionable, Kumana, I Pema Foods.
Doangar Masala, dear.
Doangar Masala,
okay.
Kapema Foods, Pena race was oily, so. Papa, always sent to my earring. Saka, I'd actually written that script. Saka, Namajizoa, Bunditiko, Saka, Otono Pema Vudzika, so I just said, Indiana got an idea. This was not my idea. Someone came with the idea, okay, can I also not Pema Vudzi? Ngano Mona Vudzi, Riteka Shirasta, so she.
Kana Shaba, time actually.
Okay. Antoine. Saka, doesn't like us to accept this also good. Alright. Okay. Took on Mona Vudzi, Saka, he was kind of make up on the pan, King of Morocco. Was never found in the way Salonica. I was kind of make up for that. No, it's not Mona. So, can I do it before they end up a shooting? In that about an hour. She mono of woods, she tapeza romonoro wa foot because ndaenda kubasa kare ndasoro ndisvike futi kubasa ndine image yaizochinja kubasa saka yaraitori basa rekuti ndamonwa ndabviswa so eventually I then played the role.
Okay.
Yeah. So pandakaplay a role, my idea was if we continue I'm going to remove this role so that I don't continue doing it, but neresponse yatakazowana manje ndana maichidzavo vacho futi just have to continue with it.
Okay, Mkwamatobi. Imwe nyaya ndinoda kubvunza, tikatarisa series yenyu yanga iri star studded. We had the likes of Philemon Watambotaura naye, we had Madumbe, the late John Banda, may so rest in peace. We are talking of Mudara Gweshe. How did you manage kuwane cast is so talented papa production yenyu? Because pamwe pacho wanyatsoona kuti even nyangwe Gringo asiripo, Madumba akauya neudobi hwake hwaanouya nawo. We also had Anna, who was your girlfriend, if I'm not mistaken. Kana aripo zvaingonakidza vanamai Nyemba zvichingodaro. We had vanamai Njekesa and stuff like that. How did you manage to bring such a star-studded cast in one production?
I don't have a definite answer to that, but I honestly feel or think kuti pakangoita rombo rakanaka payapa pakuti we were just lucky to get those characters or those actors. The thing is this, lucky kazhinji futika haringouya pasina effort. Saka what happened was, remember kuti casting yakaitwa namaichi dzao neni, we were bringing up names.
Okay.
Anditika. Saka advantage yatakaita, which I think also happens in Mama Productions. Inini, I was very specific on people that I wanted.
Is that right?
Saka I would stress Zinrandaida kuna maichidzao. I'll give the same example like Philemon. I specified munhu wandiri kuda kuti ndikuda munhu akapusa, munhu akaita so kana maichidzao ndinaye munhu iyeye. So she knew Philemon.
Okay.
So when I explained to her munhu wandiri kuda, she went and got that person.
Okay.
Then and she also brought vana maistembeni makawa vayani. Because ndaitsanangura kuti ndikuda maigwishi mukadzi anenge akadai so, mukadzi akangwarisa, mukadzi ari very dominating chichi. Then vobva vati no stembeni vana mai Njekesa. I would explain mukadzi wandiri kuda kuti mukadzi ari forceful, mukadzi akadai so maichidzobva kuti ya munhu akada kutogomuwana. Then inini at the same time, remember what I was a member with that drama club and that was Screen Talent. So there's a lot of people when I own up Screen Talent, when I observe we could play that part, we could play that part. So I also recommended one like Vanana, John Banda, Vanna Colin, Vanna Gweshe, quite a number of people. And I recommend as well. So combination yatakaita na maichidzao at that time gave us a complement of actors that suited the script very well.
Okay.
Tangoita lucky. Plus chimwe chimfutika, I would attribute it to the way we did Maria's house. Because Maria's house at that time, and zero timazwano circuit was BC. We were lucky pakuti we had nearly 3 to 4 weeks of rehearsals before we could even go for shooting. But I know Zhaikwa Kunemama Productions as well. But in my view, Takabete can still never resource because we used to stress with no. Truda I was ndikaona kuti zvinhu izvi hazvisi kuitwa sei zvazviri mupfungwa mangu ka we had to make it work. Kana zvichiramba, several occasions, many actors vataida kuti tishande navo taitaura kuti no zvaramba, tototsvaga munhu, tounza mumwe munhu. Kana zvaramba, try by all means to mold someone to give us what we wanted, but kana zvaramba, we have to let go. Regardless kuti uri shamwari yedu kana kuti wauya sei, kana zvaramba, we have to let go. Yeah, so those are the
right. Toti manye pambera papa. We understand that now we are now working with Tauraibora, who happens to be Gringo's firstborn son. How did you get to work with him? Because we understand he's doing the return of Gringo, which we understand where we are still part and parcel of that. How did you link up with this young man and Murukushanda say?
Okay. Like I said, I think Shango Tanga kuti when Lazarus was passed on, in my mind, I think you need character Gringo sort of needs to campaign and but unbeknown to me, because remember what in India and South Pakashaya Lazarus, so Kuzim Tau, I was away before Lazarus passed on. He was sort of working with his son. The kind of was kids to write because Lazarus and do that. But there's like a skit Kagada is so for YouTube. I tell one which is Tom so I could see, okay, the son has got a bit of talent in him. Though I then realized that talent yake was mostly kuma dances. Those are Buddha kwandiri. So andinaungenda ndaisa pfungwa dzangu kuishi kuti tawanogona kuvari actor wandingatoshanda naye because ndakaona kuti talent yake yakanyanyorerekera dancing. Like when on YouTube I could see most of his stuff was dancing. Acting but mostly it was dancing. So now, Parazoshaya Lazarus, I started seeing my skits, a few skits, and then Chaka Zoita Kutiti Zoita in touch. Because remember, still even by my skit, I could see especially the voice. I could hear the voice. Voice and pane tuma characteristics and tuma nuances to know now he obviously inherited this from his father. Tuma actions you could see there is a Lazarus born in there.
Okay.
Saka, that was encouraging, but it didn't mean in Zango was like, okay, I think we can continue with Gringo. But then what happened is, I got a phone call, whereby I was told someone wants to sponsor a continuation of Gringo. So the idea was that Manoa Gringo can carry on Brazil on Ababawacho. So this sponsor seemed to be serious about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And people got together. Fortunately enough, by then, Pangapani script yanga iripo yaifana kwengada yakaitwa na Lazarus Bora. But pakashayikwa funding yekuti cheated that script. The script they have I think 2016 or 2017 was there. So I said, okay, if you want this young man to continue from where his father left, let's just give him script here, Takanga Tetra Babacho, and see Kudango Then at that time, I had to view a few skits dzaangaita pa YouTube, and ndanda kutaura naye, so I managed to give him a few ideas dzaakaita kuti pa YouTube, and then we realized kuti no, he's actually capable.
Okay.
But I'm sorry to say kuti haazonyasosvika pa level yapapo wachoka, but he was very capable. He was like the closest thing that you can get to Lazarus, if I may put it that way.
Okay.
So that closeness and Duktaura was good enough for me to say, I think we can carry on.
Okay.
So it started changing my mind. Maybe we should just kill it off. Saka takazo tuendera mberi nescript iyoyo. In the meantime, he continued doing my skits, and with those skits, it just sort of proved to me that yeah, for real we can do this.
Alright.
But unfortunately, like zvinonzoitika kazhinji, that sponsor faltered and we never got to do it. But and then at the same time, we continued to communicate. Okay, meanwhile we can still continue doing my skits or my series by YouTube. So fortunately enough, he would approach me and say, "Tudaita zvakati munogona kudetsera here nekucreate my stories sezvamaingoita na Lazarus." So ndopanda ndakupota ndikataura naye topanana maideas, and then ini ndendiri kunoku kusouth, and then woita kuzimu. Pane series Return of Gringo that she has been running for quite some time now by YouTube. I'm sure quite a number of people are aware of it. I've been collaborating now like very regularly. Tichipanana my ideas, okay, story from the soul. So that's the collaboration that I've been doing with him. Especially the YouTube.
Okay. We also know Tao as a very good dancer, a very good MC. Now he's trying to fit in his father's very big shoes, which he's trying to do. Then we've also noticed the series some of the old horses Zai Shanga na Mdara wacho. We are talking of the likes of Mdara Gweshe. Recently Tawana my Gringo. We saw the new my Gringo. We saw Mdara Godobori, including yours truly Mbudziyadhura. Are you also working with those guys? Do you communicate and stuff like that for the series that you are working on?
But old horses, that was a talk that I shouldn't
have a sense of humor. Okay.
Saka, yeah, the thing is this, my old horses, they bring some sort of a nostalgic feeling to the series. If we could get, like they say, most of them, like especially Namadumbe on a film, even myself sometimes, but it's a matter of opportunities being created. Saka, I find it to be something nice to include my old horses, like you are saying. Like we had created character Mbudziyadhura, who was like sort of Gringo's sidekick. So like that character Mbudziyadhura sort of authenticates the current Gringo Atina. When people see Mbudziyadhura, they quickly relate Mbudziyadhura to Gringo. So when people see Tao acting as Gringo, it's sort of acceptable because Mbudziyadhura, the sidekick, is still there.
Okay.
You see Mbudziyadhura, you know it's Gringo. You see Gweshe, you know we won't do anything personal Gringo. So it sort of authenticates our story. No, we are still dealing with what we started with.
Okay.
Yeah, we are fortunate to still have those characters.
Okay.
Yeah, and then at the same time, I should say we are also unfortunate we no longer have some characters. Some of them have passed on, like Mr. Ben Makawa, who played Michael Shedmesh, and so we are filling in with some other actresses whom I think are doing quite well.
Okay.
But life goes on.
This was.
Yeah.
Okay, just to go further again, Mati, the return of Gringo, yes, Trukiona, and we can see your hand in that. You said the Pani project, yanga iripo, yanga yaka, yamakanyora even before Gringo passed on. I think it's the next big project, Takupapana Troublemaker. Can you tell us about this thing? Because I think people are waiting for such, because Troublemaker, I think people, they still talk about it even up to today.
Okay, I actually don't know how best I can answer that, but people. Remember the particular Troublemaker, in as much as we would like to say kuti vanhu vakaifarira, kwatiri isusu it was more of a disaster than anything else. Let me say it was more of a financial disaster than anything else. So kuti tiite imwe production ka panoda quite a lot, not a bit, but panoda quite a lot of financial management yakasimba yekuona kuti if we put money in there, how best can we recoup saka, like if you see in Zimbabwe mafilimu akanyatsogadzirwa chaizvo akabudirira, they had a lot of financial muscle behind them.
Sure.
I'm talking of Vananeria, one more time.
Yellow Card.
Yellow Card, yes, Yellow Card is a very good example. There was a lot of financial muscle behind those productions. Iko zvino vanhu vakuita production, but you find kuti people are relying on YouTube as a media or medium yekuti vaburitse production avo and hope for views. Anditika, that's the way to go. Ikozvinezvi, the time I took it on Troublemaker, the thinking was we put our film on cinema, we put our film on DVD. That was the business model.
Okay.
Saka today, you need to come up with, okay, let me just say today, it could be a bit more challenging.
Okay.
Yes. But before you go anywhere, before you start anything, panoda that financial backing.
Okay.
Inofana kuwa iripo. Then, at the same time, you need to do a very good production, because Mazvano, the way the world is going, it's about views.
Yes.
You need views. So, if you can get those views, you are sort of guaranteed that you can recoup. But, pakutoda kuitwa zvinhu strategic. What do I mean by that? You now need to look at your costs dzekugadzira. Kuti tikada kuhire equipment inodhura, tikada kuhire crew inodhura, tikada kuhire talent inodhura. When I'm talking of talent here, ndataura zvikuru handitika. We are talking of talent even ye post-production.
Okay.
Who is going to edit this thing? Who is going to do the music for this thing? Pachada kuitwa marketing, pachada kuitwa advertising. If you add all those things up, are we going to come up with a product whose budget is low enough or good enough to enable us to make or to achieve the views that we might need to achieve?
Okay.
It's a tight balance. Antitika.
Okay.
When I say views, I'm not an expert in this. So don't want to go into it, but let me try and explain what's in my mind. When I say views, ndikuti nini mazwano it can be a song. Munakaita song yake, either a video or is just a normal song under my downloads.
Yeah.
Another viewership. Kana every film is the same thing. The balance is like this. Unoda kuite chinuka chekuti if someone like Netflix comes along, how do they judge or know kuchinichi right? Maybe they look at your views. What these people are doing something that's being appreciated. Can we put it on our channel? Can outlets like maybe DSTV come calling and say, this thing is doing quite well, can we work with these people? That's how you can gain traction and be appreciated by organizations that can come in and say, we want to work with these people. Let's put money into this production because this thing is being appreciated, so it's attractive. It being attractive means it brings in even like my adverts and things like that.
Okay.
That's where the money is.
Okay.
And Suzanda kwanza upindrere, but it's now not as easy as it was kudhara pekuti unongoti tikaita film tinongoenda kucinema, ikabva kucinema toita DVD, even Hollywood kungoita film unoenda kucinema. Mazuva vanhu havachaenda, okay vanhu vanoendawo kucinema, but people are spending most of their time on their phones. Nepamakomputa vachiita sei?
Yes.
Vachiona paYouTube.
Okay, Mr. Chihombori, having been privileged to read the script yacho yamuri kutaura, ndakaona kuti personally it's a better script than Troublemaker. So kuri kuti munowana munhu anoti Mr. Chihombori, here's the financial resource, itai kuti chinhu chibude. I mean, people are still making my films, whether Zimbabwe kana kuti kupi, which means we can't say it can't be done. It can be done if you get that kind of sponsorship. Munhu waya kuti mukuda mari, itai chinhu chenyu mwana wevhu. You know, we've got a lot of people out there vane mari, but masingazotowanishandisa sei. Would you then do that film?
Obviously, yes. Because you know what, when I write, kazhinji, I always say to myself, I will only write a script when I know I've got a story that can be appreciated by people. So that's the biggest motivation, as far as I'm concerned. Even pandakatanga kuita cartoon mkwaedza, the motivation was like, okay, I've got this idea, whom can I share it with? I can do cartoons and share those cartoons with my classmates in the school. But you know what? Kwaedza gave me a bigger platform to share those jokes than I did. There is a certain satisfaction that you get if people appreciate your work. ukonogara even kubasa ukaita basa rako zvakanaka vanhu vakauya vachikuudza kuti apo wagona basa. There is that, it motivates you, and there is that internal satisfaction yekuziva kuti okay, if I do things this way people appreciate. It's natural. Saka inini, my thinking is, if I have a good story, I feel I need to share it with people. That's the first motivation and then. So, like you said, although I don't know how true it is when you say kuti, you think it's a better script than Troublemaker.
I mean it.
Okay, I don't know how to judge my work. I can only hear from what people say. Sakapa, I can hear from what you are saying.
Do you know what you used to say to me? You used to say to me, I can only write another script if it's better than the previous one. So obviously what motivated you to write this one is you were satisfied kuti I've surpassed the previous one. That's why I went to Zoti and the Kurumizi, I take my time. That's why I said so. And I know you remember saying this to me.
Okay. It's a good thing that you mentioned that. Let me tell you something about this script. I actually wrote this script before I wrote Troublemaker.
Whoa.
Yes. Lazarus Bora saw this script before he knew about Troublemaker.
Okay.
Script I wrote it 2007. Then I dropped it because I thought it was not good enough. Then I started writing Troublemaker.
Okay.
So, after we did Troublemaker, Lazarus Bora came back to me because I had not finished that script. But I gave it to Lazarus Bora and she imbovenga script yurudze kuti inoshandika nayo, but asandapedza kuinyora because I was stuck with it.
Okay.
So Lazarus Bora came to me after we did Troublemaker and did makambondiratidza imwe script. So he liked that script. Kati mamune script imwe but yanga isina kupera. You need to do that script. Because he also thought the way you are thinking kuti script is good enough to be even better than Troublemaker.
Yes.
Inini kwandiri, I didn't rate it too much because I didn't have good enough ideas to finish the script. So when Lazarus Bora came back to me, I said to myself, this was around 2014, 2015. I said to myself, I really need to finish this script because we can't waste it. Because like where Lazarus had read, he was like, no.
This is good.
I'm gonna say script here. That's when I then sat down and thought it out, and when I finished it, it took me about a year because remember I got from 2007 kuti izosvika kuma 2014 ikoko tapedza kuita Troublemaker. Lazarus was like, we need to do that script.
Okay.
Saka pandakazoipedzisa ndikamupa Lazarus Bora and yourself.
Yes.
You all praised the script.
It's a good one.
I even gave it to Mr. Mahaka, Ben Mahaka. His response was, we need to do this script.
Wow.
Saka, you are telling me the same thing. No, script here, right? Inini, I also, because, okay, let me tell you one thing about it. That script has got moments because actually you'll be surprised, my wife hasn't read that script. But there are moments in that script where I describe to her, script of all the scripts I have written, I think that script is the one with the funniest moments that when I explain them to some people, people will always laugh with the
Yes.
So it's a script with very good moments, funny moments, which maybe from what you are saying, it could be better than Troublemaker, but I can only make that judgment kana yaitwa.
Okay.
Yeah, but the potential is there. It definitely can be better than Troublemaker, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so to the viewers who are watching from home or all over the world, pakaita anoti alright, Mr. Chihombori, ndiri kuda kuti ndishande nemi, I want to sponsor. How do they get in touch?
Amazon ka vanhu vazhinji ka ifoni
Phone.
WhatsApp. We okay, people who actually get in touch with me kazhinji vanotsvaka paFacebook, then you will send a message paFacebook vachikumbira, like, let's say, WhatsApp number. The unfortunate thing is inini wacho mazana handisi pasocial media too much, saka you find kuti munhu akanitumira message ndogona kuiona maybe after kana 2 months later, because handiwanzoenda paFacebook pacho, so ndogona kutoona kuti pane mamessage but handichanyanyoenda paFacebook.
So how then, kana tiri kuti pane munhu ari serious ari kunzwa mune script yekuti inogona kuendesa Zimbabwe on the world map, anogona kunzwa akati no, I want to assist, tipei kana dziri number, if you can share number. Zvamati paFacebook amubatiki, pamwe muri pa Instagram.
No, WhatsApp is the best.
WhatsApp the best.
WhatsApp ndo pandinowanzobatika chaizvo.
So are you willing to share your number kana tinozongoisa pa program now or what?
Yeah, I can share my number. Munogona kuisa pa program, I don't know.
And it
Ndogona kushare number.
Dave? Ribo? Huh? Are you married? Huh? Are you married?
Ndazotenga.
Thanks, Sha, ende wakona.
Ndiyo ngochida.
Ndiyo. Ndiyo favorite yangu.
Ndakuudza kuti ndokutengera.
Thank you so much. Wagona Sha.
Ndakuudza kuti ndotenga. What? Sha! Chamgagerera ice cream here, Sha. Come on, man. Sha, unozodhura kwainoita here, Sha.
Aiwa, ndakavhara Sha.
Sha, aiwa, Sha, ungamboda isu, Sha, unozodhura kwainoita here, Sha. Sha, no, man, this is disappointing, man. Ndakuudza kuti ndinodhura ice cream here.
Aiwa, ndambogara ndichida ini.
Sure mukadzi angagara ice cream uyu.
So, okay, Mr. Chihombori, we understand that you have won my awards ne series enyu. We understand that munonyora futi my books. How many awards dzamakawana? At least people have recognized your good works.
Okay, I think over the years, my awards ndakawana ndenama. I managed to win 4 NAMA awards, 3 in the writing. Saka pa 3 pa 2 ndi kunyora Gringo. Then the third one, pane series ye boxing yandakanyora is Cobra. I think I won an award for that, Cobra. And then I wrote a children's book, 2007. The woodcutter. I also won an award for that, a NAMA award. I was nominated 6 times actually. So out of those 6 nominations, I managed to win 4 times.
4 times. Wow. That's a great achievement, right? Pane zvamungadai kushare nema upcoming writers from Zimbabwe and all over. What is it that they need to do to vasvika palevel ramakasvika iroro? What advice can you give them?
Inanditozivawo level randakasvika.
Ndara mune maodzi kaini, and your story, Gringo Troublemaker up to now, Gringo series, they talk about it, which means it's an achievement. I think your series is recognized as one of the best to come out of Zimbabwe in terms of my comedies. So I think that's a great achievement. So the young ones, the upcoming writers would also want to know what you understand to say.
Look, the thing is this, it's difficult to be able to be in a position whereby munhu can ascertain kuti zvandanyora izvi, is it good enough for the readers or the audience? You need to get to a point whereby if you are satisfied with your story, you should be able to know kuti that satisfaction, will it translate to other people? Saka mistake yandakaona inoitwa nesu writers ka ndiye kufunga kuti ukanyora chinhu chaunofunga kuti chiri kukunakidza iwewe, then you think kuti automatically chinofanira kunakidza munhu wese kunze uko. Handizvo zvazviri. There is a fine balance yaunofanira kunge uchisvika yekuti ukafunga a story, try and put yourself in the shoes of other people kuti okay, when other people see this, zvinhu zvingavanakidza here. Make sure kuti ukunyora zvinhu zvisingori aligned to things that only excites you or things that you think are exciting but zvisiri zvinhu zvinogona kutambirwa navamwe. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say kuti if you are a writer, try and, when you've got a story, try and put yourself in the shoes of the reader or the audience. Kuti zvinhu zvinganakidza vanhu here izvi. Inini, there are so many ideas that I come up with, but when I put myself in the shoes of other people, ndinyasoona kuti zvinhu zviri kunakidza but someone else handifuni kuti zvinogona kumunakidza. It might not mean a lot now as I say it, but inini, that's the basis that I use to create my stories. Yekuona kuti when I have an idea, I take myself away from that story and put myself in the position of an audience or a reader. Kuti when someone reads this thing, will they find it exciting? Or what kind of people would find this thing exciting? Saka, in other words, you should have a broad mind. Don't be tunnel visioned. You see, try and be broad-minded. Try and reach out to as many people as you can if you are seeking to please a wider audience.
Okay.
And so, advice yandingape ndekuti for you to reach that stage, which is very difficult. Believe me, it's not easy to write for an audience. Saka, the advice yandingape ndekuti munhu kana uchinyoraka, give yourself time yekuita think through the whole story. Mistake yandakaona inoitwa especially new writers ndekuti they come up with one good brilliant idea, which is an idea that they center their story around. Everything that happens in that story is centered on that good, great idea.
Okay.
But now, chinozoitika ndechekuti as they expand the story, that idea starts wearing off. So as the story progresses, you find kuti akusisina new ideas dzakuuya, story yotanga manje kusanakidza. Saka ndiri kuti nini, give yourself time yekuti when you have one great idea, what's the next good, great idea that you can put into your story that can support the initial idea of going in.
Okay.
That takes time. It's
Okay.
not something that just happens. You need to brainstorm. You need to come up with so many ideas that you are going to reject. You need to select, okay, if my story goes this way. Remember, there are so many ways to skin what a cat,
Kill a
a
cat.
goat, to kill a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many ways to kill a cat. So there are so many ways that you can write your story. So you need to come up with so many ideas that you actually have to reject and pick what you might think could be pleasing. Sometimes it's even better to relate your story to other people, to make other people feel your story. You can tell when you're telling your story to someone, just narrating it to someone, you can tell by their response, I'm onto something good here.
Okay.
Didn't I do that?
Okay.
When I've got an idea, sometimes I try and talk it over to someone. What do you think? Just by seeing someone's response, I can tell, wow, this guy actually stories. Then you know, maybe I'm onto something good. So you don't just rush into writing. Then the most important thing that many writers, I think, because I've come across so many prospective writers, the biggest mistake that other writers do is, I also have my own weaknesses. My weaknesses as well. But I didn't observe
Okay.
when people start writing a story, they do not plan their story. I've always tried to emphasize this.
Okay.
What I do when I'm writing, when I've got an idea, let's say I'm writing a script. Before I even start writing that script, I map out my story scene by scene. I summarize each scene up until to the end before I even start writing.
Okay.
So I have points that I put down. After this scene, after this scene, this character, up until I get to the end of the story, I read through all my points to make sure everything is and is in such a way before I even start writing.
Okay.
Now that's planning. You need to plan your story. Don't just have an idea in your head and start writing. Unoshika pakati pe story upererwa. Ndopa unotanga manje kuita shungudze kuti I need to finish this.
Okay.
Then ungotanga kungonyora chero zvauya mupfungwa mako. Unopesera usisina story. You won't even realize kuti andisisiri kunyora story iri coordinated. Your story needs to be coordinated. Whatever events happens kwekutanga should facilitate for events dzichaitika kwekupedzisira.
Okay.
Or even pakati, or even as you progress. Wherever there is an action, there is a reaction. When an actor does something, we need to see the end result.
Okay.
So when you're an actor achita something, then we don't see the end result. Nyaya yako haina progression inemsoro. You get it? Okay. So the only way you can achieve that is by planning your story. Saka, to me, the actual writing happens in the planning. It doesn't happen during the writing itself. It happens by planning. So the thing is this: if I'm going to write a story for 3 months, writing it, it means my planning was probably more than 6 months.
Okay.
That's how I think a story should be done.
Okay.
You spend more time planning on how your story should pan out. Then once everything laid out, it's not just a matter of typing. Of which typing should be, the time you spend typing your story should be shorter than the time you spend planning and creating your story.
Wow. That's profound. Thank you for that and that pointer. Chihombori, tell us how do you create? Tikatarisa kune vaimbi unonzwa umwe achiti hai ndinorota inini zvinongoya inoita. Imimi, how do you come with those very brilliant creative ideas dzemastories enyu?
That's a difficult question because you put yourself, like I explained, you put yourself in someone else's shoes and imagine that you want something chichitika. Then you think to yourself, if someone sees something like this happening, is this funny? Because remember, I normally write comedic situations.
Yes.
So I think it's easy. Some people tell me it's difficult, but for you to come up with something comedic, you need to really think out of the box.
Okay.
Inandiroti, but I'll tell you my ideas, especially my major ideas I later come up with. It's actually to do with events that happen in my life or things that I observe happening.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, it's probably things that I would have seen maybe 10 years old. Zvinhu zvandinoobserva zvichiitika. Like I'll give you example. Pane kasituation kawakandiudza kekuti ndakatsanangura sei katakaita so, but handothingi kuti kakabuda paTV kasituation ikako patakaisa hupfu pamusoro pedoo
akana kuzobuda I remember kuti pakatomboita makakatanwa nadirector anga ari vachiti hazviiti.
Yes.
And you kept on saying that I was united.
And then I had to demonstrate.
It came out brilliantly.
Yes. That idea, it was pranks that we used to play with my brothers. We would do that prank on each other and we would laugh a lot. So I just thought, if I include this in my story, I think anyone else could laugh at this. So it's things that you observe happening, but Shitika is not a joke.
Okay.
But you don't want to observe, but then you think, but if I take that thing and put it in my story,
you develop it.
You then develop it.
Okay.
So things that happen in life, you just observe and change it or tweak it a little bit, or some story. Just look at everyday things that happen in your life. You can create something from that.
Okay.
My manje, I think in the town Natal, pan idea yandakamudza pizza so. I don't know if you still remember Chow. Pan idea pizza and I it's something chakaitika pan pataitika pizza, then I thought oh man manakira ari kuita pizza, imagine nepa ya munhu akabvisa andona zvima bacon nezvima chichi zvima cheese zvinoiswa pamusoro pepizza. Yeah, I was just thinking, imagine wopiwa pizza iwo kutofunga kuti pizza and then munhu uye wodya zvese izvozvo mosvika mopiwa pizza isina movhura moona hapana kana zvinonaka zvinoiswa pamusoro zvizvi. So my ideas come through things that you observe happening in your life.
Everyday life.
Okay. Everyday life. And so you just tweak it and then put it in a story with, okay, what if Canary Gringo no 2 months and don't take a pizza? Ojika zvese zvepamusoro zvezvi. Okusiyira pizza isina zvepamusoro.
Chibesi.
Ungokusiyira chibesi chete chichingwa chichi. Mashatiro achinoita kana chisina zvepamusoro zvezvi. Iwo une nzara manje. I mean, you can just imagine face yemunhu anovhura chibhokisi chiona zvese zvepamusoro zvese zvachiona. Saka that's how you come up with ideas. It's like it came ndiri pakati pekudya pizza one. Saka you then think but what if zvikaitika in such a way? And so that's how you create some of these ideas. It's about things that happen in your life, everyday life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other major projects that you are working on currently? Makasiya here zvekunyora nokuti in fact muri kunyora because kubatsana tawo, but pane zvimwe here besides the project yamuri kuitana tawo and this team zvamungada kuti
Okay, yeah. Ndodzokera futi kumashure kuti when Lazarus Bora passed on, I actually thought kuti hapasina chinhu chandichanyora futi. That script yatiri kutaura yatamutaura nezvayo, I thought that was my last script, but I've gone on to write 3 more scripts.
Okay.
There is one comedy series yandakanyora. That one is written purely in English. Yanga isiri ya Gringo. I teamed up with some guys kunoku, so we came up with ideas, and then I wrote a 13-episode series. It's a comedy series. 180 dramedy. It's a drama, but in a comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a very good story, that one. But unfortunately, we are unable to produce it, or we still haven't found people who can produce it. We are still trying to sell the story so that it can be produced. Initially, we wanted to have it produced in Munom, but we think it would suit Zimbabwe better.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are trying to eat well Zimbabwe. Then I've got 2 feature films that I wrote. One is to do with my problems anowanikwa nevanhu vanenge vachibva kuzimu vachiuya kuno. So with that story, I actually had to interview quite a number of people who have crossed from Zim into South Africa.
Legally or illegally?
Illegally.
Okay.
Matambudziko avanosangana nawo when they go through the illegal means.
Okay.
Like vanenge vatofamba musango ka mune mhuka, mune masoja, mune chii, vanofanira kuyambuka rwizi, vamwe vanenge vane vana, vamwe vanenge vaine gudzu dzavo, vanotorerwa, pane abuse inoitika kuvakadzi and all those things. So that one is a serious story.
Okay.
It's you see comedy, but I think in Input it's a story that needs to be told.
A real life situation.
Yes, it's a story that needs to be told.
Okay.
So I wrote that story. I was actually in collaboration with Leroy Gopal.
Tiani from Yellow Card.
From Yellow Card, yes.
Okay.
I like to say Tiani
Okay.
Yellow Card. We did that story together.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one story. And then I also wrote a story inechekuita nezve girl child. Abuse anowanikwa nevana vasikana, especially when they are forced into marriages. In this case, I'm talking of vana vanotorwa through customary laws, vachiitwa get married to varume vanenge vakura. She's forced into marriage. Unoziva like zvaitika kudhara zviye zvekuti maybe vabereki havana mari, vanonorodza mwana kuitira kuti vawane something. Mwana unomanikidzwa kunoroorwa nemunhu waanenge asingadi and things like that. So funny enough, this story is got comedy. Because I just couldn't help it.
Okay.
It's a serious topic, but the way we were resolving my issues, munyaya yacho, I had to put some comedy in it.
Okay.
It because to me, comedy makes sometimes tough situations become easier to digest. Antoana, haudi kuti zvese zvinongobva zvangosiririsa zvongosuvisa ini ndoda zvinhu zvinongosekesa zvinonakidza kare. Saka it's a serious topic, but to resolve my situation ari munyaya imomo I had to put a bit of comedy. So it's a feature film, but I think it's quite exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Mr. Chihombori, are we saying kuti tine, is it 4 nyaya dzamunadzo dzamakangosendeka pasite dziri kuda sponsorship, like the first one yekwagringo,
Yeah, pane
then yamati feature film ida kuitirwa kuZimbabwe,
Yes.
koita kucrossa border, koita marriages,
Yes.
child marriages.
Yes. Yeah, 19 it was not, it's a series.
Okay, so we are saying kuti tine nyaya dziripo dziri ready, very good stories.
That's
4
Yes.
dzekuti mukawana vanoti let's work together, you are willing to partner with those people.
Definitely.
Oh. Anyway, thank you varongozvinzwira vari kumatimana enyika. Takutaura nenyaya yefilm industry. What can you say about the film industry in Zimbabwe as compared to South Africa? Zvakanakirawo kunyika kwedu, or what we can do, what we can learn since makugara kunoko, and what maybe the government or the stakeholders needs to do in our country to improve our film industry, because we've got so many cases of people pane saying yekuti maZimbabweans avakosheswe kwavo, asi kana azobuda kunze aita something ndopanoti no, that person is a Zimbabwean, but kana ariko kuZimbabwe havanomutora for granted, havakoshesi talent. I don't know how far it is, but what's your take on that?
That's a difficult question for me to answer because ndanenguva ndisiri muZimbabwe, so situation yemuZimbabwe handinyatsoziva kuti zvinofamba sei, but like you are saying, ndichiriko inini ndichienda like kuZBC, tichitanga kushanda ZBC, the first thing chandakatanga kunotisa is maactors haakosheswe muZimbabwe, like zvatinoona zvichiitwa kune dzimwe nyika.
Okay.
You know kuti if you want to talk of prominent people in any country besides my politicians,
My entertainers.
the next thing my entertainers, it's the actors, the singers. KuZimbabwe masingers vanenge vatori more clout than my actors, whereas if you look at, let's take Nigeria for example, their Nollywood is more popular than whatever their singers do. That's my impression.
Okay.
People know about Nigerian films. Okay, in my own personal capacity, I knew about Nigerian films before I knew any songs from Nigeria.
Okay.
You get my drift?
Okay. Isn't it because imimi munofarira zvemafilm?
Maybe. I don't know. Because given a choice, kuti ndiswere ndichiterera nziyo dzemuNigeria. Better kutongona hangu mafilmu acho. And even Munam South is a bit different. My singers, we know more about their singers than vano actor, but vano actor vacho, they are quite prominent. Who doesn't know most of my prominent actors in North South? Most of Southern Africa knows about those guys when actor South. Then who knows about my actors and actors in Kunok Southern Africa? We know about Nigerian actors. We know about South African actors.
Yes.
But who knows about Zimbabwean actors? No one. Tinogona kuti inini ndikafamba muHarare, people would know me. Anditika. But ndikafamba muno South, unless I meet a Zimbabwean, tomboziva kuti uyu ndeupi. But if a South African actor
Goes to Zimbabwe.
goes to Zim right now, anobuda pa everyday South African soap or series, whatever, people will recognize those people. Zimbabwe. And
True.
what does that mean? It means kuti isusu as actors from Zimka, we are not doing good enough to be recognized on a bigger scale or bigger platform. And it's very local. That's my view. I know there's some films that have gone out, but if we talk of individual actors, besides the vakatoenda ku Hollywood, vatingatopika 1, 2, 3 or so, vatingatotaura kuti yeah, maybe this one.
What are you attributing to that?
It's because our industry doesn't have support. Now, what do you mean? What do I mean by that? Nambotaura inini kuti
It's okay.
Alright. Nambotaura inini kuti pandakatanga kuenda kuZBC. The one thing that I quickly recognized is that my actors are also recognized. You get it? He was ZBC pachezvayo. All they needed was just the talent, but they did not want to uplift
That talent.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but it is what it is. Unotaka kuona first of all marriages pure one. I don't know. And then ona kuti pamunoenda paset chiri kukosheswa ikuru mekta zvavachinyatsokoseswa maningi. Whereas ukaenda kune dzimwe nyika actor ndiye anenge atori netrailer nechii and ari untouchable. You get it? Whereas it's vice versa. Chinotokosheswa ikuru ndo vaitakaoneka kuti vadya here vaita sei. Actor kana asina kudya, who cares? I witnessed that. There was a point when inini I had to buy food for actors. Crew as ZBC yayo per DMs aipiwa. You could see that these guys are well catered for. Your actor ukasoya usina kudya kuchibva kumba unotoswera nayo ka. I don't know, maybe zvinhu zvachinja iko zvinezvi, but at that time that was the case. Antoine, saka iwewe as an actor ka ukaenda paset, by the time yaunouya kumba unenge uchitoziziva kuti I am nothing. You could be the main actor whatever production amunonishanda nayo, but pauchafamba kubva paset uchinosvika kumba kwako, you really feel it kuti I am nothing. Whereas vamwe vanhu kune dzimwe nyika, it could be India, Bollywood, when they walk from that set going home, they know they're important.
Okay.
Because of the way they are treated, the way they are paid. Antoine. But then at the same time, you ask yourself, that's why now you ask yourself, okay, kana vanhu vari paid well kune dzimwe nyika, chii chiri kuita kuti muZimbabwe zvisave like other countries? It boils down to appreciation now. What kind of audience do we have? Like it goes Nesh, I'll give you an example. You guys, like you mentioned, we are working on a series by YouTube, we know the Return of Gringo. And
Yeah.
Saka, there's comments section. When people watch on YouTube, they write down comments. And it. So you find kuti you post your video today. Maybe next week you don't post. You post it maybe after 2 or 3 weeks. saka vanhu kumacomments vanotanga kunyora manje vachishora manje kuti wai muri kunonoka kuposta wai muri kunonoka kuposta hamuri kuti bowa stereke because muri kunonoka kuposta handiti. What people don't realize is kuti uposteka ndokunge une maresources ekuigadzira chinhu chacho kuti chikwanise kusvika pastage yekupostwa handiti. Remember kuti paYouTube we are saying kuti munhu in as much as you are using your data, as far as we are concerned, isusu kungoona mahara handiti. Ukungoona mahara idata rako yes, but as far as we are concerned isusu tiri kugadzira ka hausi kuti bhadhara wawana. In a way yes, we need your views handiti ka, but kuti iwe uone kuti vanhu ava kuti vakwanise kuposta ndokunge vawana something handiti. But panoita that lack of appreciation yekuti but at least vakomana ava vari kutry. Now that appreciation translates futi pakutiko as a country, if we appreciate more of our products, because charity begins at home.
Yes.
If we appreciate our product more and we have more people coming to appreciate that trikuita, those numbers, my views, eventually we can gain something. And if those views keep on going up, you find it may be posting it, you don't say regularly. But if we don't get that appreciation, even before the YouTube, and it's vananomana kufara as an actor, and it, but kuti vaappreciate zvekuti iwe unowana value out of it. Kunyika kwedu zvichiri behind. Atina culture appreciate artistic stuff. It could be writing a book, you don't have a culture of that mindset yekutiko paitwa book, let's buy this book, read it and appreciate art. Kudara zvaya zviriko. Paine manovels anyorwa kudhara kuti waipinda mubookshop uchitenga mabhuku and things like that. That culture is eroded. Yes. If there is a film, people will want to buy it pirated because it's cheap. Zvemara ndo zvatoda kutungamidza. Look, yes, because upenyu hunetsaka. We also have to appreciate that. But the problem is, even when things were, let's say, slightly better, there wasn't that much of an appreciation. Actor, unaona that thinking yatanga tinayo, even times kuma 70s dzana all vampikudza chitanga kuimba payapa. An artist akabata chigitari onzi ndizvo chirombe.
Yes.
That kind of thinking ndo connecta kuti even actor akatanga kuda kuita actor zvinonzi dzashaya zvekuita idzi. Antokana, there isn't that appreciation yekuti it's a profession that needs to be appreciated. You need to get to a certain level yekuti vanotanga kuappreciate such that it puts you on a bigger pedestal whereby you can be rewarded for it. It's very few, and it's not it come singers cheat. Because Zimbabwe, in terms of acting, it's only those ones who have managed to go out of Zim and managed to get some gigs out there. Very poor, we can mention names, but you can count them on your fingers.
As compared to the talent irikumusha.
As compared to the talent irikumusha.
Chimwe chinhu, don't you think kuti like tachitaura nyaya funding for projects dzamuinadzo kuti maybe these guys they also need an understanding kuti what is involved in making a film, because we've got vapano vemazuva ano vari kutrenda angotora foni yake ungoita kaanoita ubva atoita mavhisi ubva aita mari, whereas film chairo rinenge risingade phone. What else is involved? Obviously kune malocations, kune chii, so that maybe people understand kuti mukazoisa budget kuti project anotoda mari yakati, they will then understand kuti that's why zvichida mari yakawanda, because unonzwa rimwe film kunzi raswaziniga rakaita 5 million kugadzira chete
100 million
kugadzira film. Imimi moenda moti nini film rangu ramuda kuti riitwe kuZimbabwe raGringo ndiri kudawo 80,000 wanzi mari yakawandisa. Is it not because people they don't really know what is involved in terms of maybe vanoda kuti sponsor wacho?
Yeah, you see, the thing is this ukada listen, ukada kustaura iko zvine izvi inopedzera kuita ungefanika I'm now scaring away the sponsors, because if you tell them kuti pandoda chakati kuzvidoda chakati munhu panotanga kufunga kuti ha, because remember we are not going to mention names. Remember mai vaya vakambotitisa marehearsals kuningirimi kwavo troublemaker ka. Yes, she was very excited and she was very willing to sponsor this thing. Nditika takatanga kuita marehearsals before na budget, because zvainditi hanyasogadzira budget rako but ngatiite sengatange marehearsals tichasponsor zvinhu izvi. Pavakazoona budget ndaita kunge ndakutaura nemunhu asiriyo, mainly because now you start explaining kumunhu kuti tichada kuhaya malocation, tichada kuhaya macostume, tichada kuhaya motikari yotransporta vanhu, tichada chikafu chichadyiwa nevanhu, tichada equipment, tichada kubhadhara vanhu, vachagadzira equipment, tichada kuita zvinhu zvese zvinodiwa for post production,
editing, sound,
yes, pre-production futi. Pane zvakawanda zvoda kuitwa zvemafoni zvekufonera vanhu, panoitwa budget yekufonera nevanhu. It's minor zvazvo izvo, but when you put everything together apa bude chakanaka. So mazuvano with technology maybe tinogona kuti it's now a bit easy, because even editing unogona kuitira kumba, filming unogona nefoni and things like that, but it's not on that professional level that you could be aspiring to.
To create international stuff, out there.
You want to create something that, like I said, even Netflix can say this is good enough for us. But it's a double-edged sword. But you know what? All I need is views. Ndikakanda pa YouTube or pa Instagram or whatever, ndikaita shinjangu, ndingaenda pa TikTok, ndawana ma views, regardless kuti quality yakamira sei. But kana ari munhu anenge inini ndanyora script, ndatora ndinyora script and that, and it doesn't do justice to my script if ndakuti ngatingofilma nefoni. Skit, yes, tinofilma nefoni, ndikata skit and things like that. Tinofilma nefoni, I think. But it depends. Pana vanhu vanogadzira mafilmu nemafoni, but it's how they do it. Do you have that ability or capacity yekuti uite film rako nefoni robuda zvakanaka?
Okay.
So I don't know, it all depends.
Right, we are running out of time. Just to find out, pavana venyu, it's a bit personal now. Vana venyu, pane here akatorawo chipo chenyu, whether kuri kunyora kana kuactor. We just want to know kuti are we going to see another Chihombori legacy charanga ichienderera mberi here?
Zvana zvonetaka auzive kuti yeah, my firstborn child is actually doing a degree in film arts.
Wow.
Yeah, Kim, yeah.
Okay.
So apa nopedza tichi so munhu wekutoti apa stage yekuti she understands most of my aspects ezvinhu zvinoitwa mufilm, writing, sound, lighting, directing, camera work and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then even my younger daughter, she's very much interested. And mama anenge achiita zvemalights njani njani. So yeah, but you don't know pavachakura kuti zvichasvika kupi.
Okay, like now she's into film. Imimi mune already nyaya dzamakanyora. Would you see yourself one day working side by side with your daughter? Either she's directing or filming or also maybe assisting your kunyora, I mean kuku direct and stuff like that.
Yes, very possible.
Anditi.
Titona adverting yatakaita where she was doing sound.
Anditi.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wrote the script for that advert. Yeah, so she came in and did the sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously vemazuano imimi are coming from old school. Mune pamwe pamunomboita kafriction yakachitaiwa mudhara toda imi muchitaiwa ndine experience tetinodaiwa.
The only thing where we probably clash like nemwana wangu is in terms of creating ideas.
Okay.
Takatosiyana zvachose. My ideas are no creator. Kwaari
Amunakidzi.
anyanyomunakidza. Then iyo zvaanocreata inini zvinyatsondinakidza.
Sounds funny. Mr. Chihombori, before we go, ndine personal question ndoda kubvunza. And I think even the viewers out there would want to know. I remember inini meeting you tiri Screen Talent. I used to think kuti amuchinje hembe. Mungonongoya nehembe dzimwe chete. Mune macolors amunofarira, and I'm noticing kuti up to now kabhurukwe enyu, majeans nemashirts, t-shirts muchingori nako. What is it all about? Mungamboti tsanangurari. I think the viewers would want to know. Ndakazorealize later on kuti no, mune hembe dzakwanda, but I think you're attracted to these colors. We want to know the secret behind it.
Apatomborina kana secret. It's okay. If I'm to tell you what happened, I think I was doing Form 2. Saka, what happened is, I think what happened is, pandakatengerwa hembe dzaimecha namomzo wangu, so kaka kashort ketuma Adidas.
Kaka size.
Kaka kari keblue ne t-shirt yangeri light blue, so saka zvaimecha zvakanaka still zvinhu izvozvo. Mozvo akagona kuchuza ipapo. So pane dhii randakazvipfeka. Saka pane mukadzi airoja pamba pedu, so aibva kubasa, so saka akapinda pagate. Ini ndaitamba ndiri just by the gate ipapo. Saka munhu zvongomhoresana zvezvi kuti mumwe munhu abva kubasa inini nobva vanditiko and hembe dzawakapfeka dzakanaka ende dzakamecha zvekuti. So I became very aware. I think she actually mentioned kuti ende blue yakakuita sei yakakufita. Saka I really looked at myself ndikaona kuti blue yakandifita pana. So what happened is, next time pandakanzi tiri kunokutengera hembe ndakati ndoda hembe dzeblue because I knew kuti blue yakandifita. Saka sometimes you don't get that blue t-shirt or shirt or whatever short yaunongochida. You just don't feel good about it. Aunonditengera blue because blue ndo yakandifita. Saka I think it became something psychological in my mind. If you want a good shirt, buy a blue shirt. because zvinoitika ndezvekuti kana ndichifamba even when I'm with my wife ndikaona munhu akapfeka shiti yeblue yakanaka I always comment kuti shiti yakanaka but kana iri red even iri same style I just don't comment about it. So even ndikapinda mushop ndikatarisa hembe dziri mushop ndikaona yeblue I know kuti hembe yakanaka such that I am surprised kuti kune vanhu anopinda mushop otenga shiti orange honestly unoona munhu anopinda mushop munhu wechirume anotenga shiti yeyellow azviiti ona.
Okay, Mr. Chihombori. Right. Tochitima pamakazenge mawana. Madam anoda kumbotry here kukuchinja kana takatonga tractor neblue yanga iri pamuri.
Aiwa vakambotry. Vakatoona kutoti vakasimba ka. Zvakutochekesa muchato.
Mr. Chihombori, any parting words nevanga vachiteerera chirongwa chedu? Anything that you need to say?
No, hapana chinhu, but rather than ngoti. You know what, in life when you feel kuti you have potential in something, don't let it just die off as a feeling. Try and do it. You get it? I know that's not good, but let me explain what I'm saying. Ndichikura ndaiverenga ma-cartoon books, and I always felt kuti it's something that I can do.
Okay.
Saka kana unoita ma-cartoon unoita sei, you have to learn to draw. So you find kuti whenever I had free time, then draw.
Okay.
Anditika. I actually wasn't very good at drawing. Then was manikidza. But the thing is, I would always have ideas. But there's not gonna draw. So when you have something in your mind, try and put effort to it so that you can produce that thing. Ndakasvika pa stage yekuti I thought kuti but character ka Gringo kando draw mu kwaidzaka. What if kakabuda kari pa television? But how do you get it to be on television? You need to write a script. So I had to learn how to write my scripts. Because ndikasadzidzira kunyora script that thing won't happen. Andrew one.
Yes.
So then the last example I would give is right now, though this is not, I wouldn't call it a success story, but it's to me it's also another example. Ndinofanira kuona zvinhu like the science but television ndoona ma-documentaries the science and things like that. Saka inini like kubasa ndoita zvinhu like we design in 3D and things like that. To change the software 3D and Saka when I see some of these things on television, do not know a demonstration you don't in 3D chichi. Then I'm like, but we do this kubasa. Why already why can't I produce a documentary like this? Ability in 3D. And so you find I've got it's a very small YouTube channel. Yandino gadzira tuma 3D explainer videos.
Okay.
It's something that has always been at the back of my mind. But I can do this thing. So stage but why am I always just thinking that I can do this thing? Why don't I try and do it?
Okay.
It's a process that takes time. For me to produce one video, it takes me about 6 to 8 months just to produce one video. But it's something that occupies me. I do it, video, you feel satisfied.
Okay. Okay.
And then I post it on YouTube. My channel is very small. So far I've done only about 3 videos. But if I didn't think of doing it, I wouldn't have that channel.
Okay. Okay.
And so when you think of something, just do it.
Thank you. Right, viewers, I think in short he's trying to say our minds are creative. Tanga iri thought, koita word, koita action. Then we've got things in the physical. Mr. Chihombori, we thank you so much for your time that you've afforded us. I would also want to thank the guy behind the camera, Junior Gringo Tauraibora, and yours truly, Blessing Chinoa, aka Mbudziyadhura. Check you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels, for Facebook pages, Gringo Junior, Pakaskits, Mbudziyadhura, both on Facebook and YouTube. Till we meet again next time, God bless. Ciao, ciao.